Hello and welcome to yet another edition of the Focus Weekly with me, Farai Mwakutuya. I thank you so much for joining us. Now, I am at Highland Park, home of one of the first real estate investment trusts to be registered in Zimbabwe and the first to list on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. Now, real estate investment trusts are the focus of today's show. If you want to find out more about them, how they work, how you can participate, and how they stand to benefit the economy of Zimbabwe, stay tuned for this episode where I'll be speaking to the chairman of the recently appointed Real Estate Investment Trust Association of Zimbabwe, Dr. Mike Juru. A warm welcome. Today my guest is none other than Dr. Mike Juru, the recently appointed chairman of the Real Estate Investment Trust Association of Zimbabwe. Dr. Juru, great to have you on the program. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you for inviting me to be part of the show.
Fantastic. Let's get straight into it. What is a REIT, a Real Estate Investment Trust?
A Real Estate Investment Trust is an investment vehicle that allows people to invest into income-producing real estate, and where they are guaranteed of quarterly dividends is prescribed by the law.
Uh-huh. What sort of real estate investments? Is it big complexes, houses? What sort of properties fall under this category?
Oh, definitely big real estate, because you find that a real estate investment trust offers the opportunity to the small-time investor to access such big investment. If the buildings are too big, individuals cannot afford. So you look at there's a minimum threshold of the value of the assets should be around 15 million. So you find you're pulling resources from several quarters, from individuals to corporates, pension funds. Everybody is welcome to be putting in their funds together through the Real Estate Investment Trust.
Mm-hmm. How is it generating its money? Is it the rental income? How does it make money?
The properties strictly have to be income producing. So it will be the rental income that will be coming out of the properties that would be supported by the respective leases, strong leases, should we say, which will be obligating the tenants to be paying the rentals, and the rentals will be onward forwarded to the investors into the Real Estate Investment Trust. So in Zimbabwe, our situation is that 80% of the rentals that are received are supposed to be disbursed to the investors. So the investors will be guaranteed of a return, rather than you put in your money, you're not guaranteed, you do not know what is going to happen. But in a real estate investment trust, you are guaranteed the 80% of the rentals are going to be disbursed.
Great. Now, that point you've just made about people investing money and perhaps losing it speaks to an issue I also want to talk about. I mean, in recent weeks, we've heard of people losing money in these Ponzi schemes and all sorts of things. Property, we're always told, is a solid investment. You can't go wrong with property. Is the same true of these real estate investment trusts? Because I would imagine if I own a house, it is my house, I have control, or it's my building, I have control. Now you're putting me with so many other people. How does that work and who regulates it?
That's the whole idea of putting funds in a pool where you have experts who actually handle the affairs of the investment. And real estate investment trusts, it's a regulated field where you have if they are listed, you have the ZSE that comes in, you have this Security Exchange Commission, and the funds can only be managed by a fund manager who are also regulated, and they are expected to be employing property managers who are also regulated. They have their own respective regulators. So it's a completely regulated field or sector of the securities, and you find that there are so many compliance issues, which assures the investor that, yes, you are putting in your money and your money is safe. Real estate investment trusts, they offer double advantage. You're investing in real estate, that's one. You're also investing in stock. The same way that people buy their shares on the ZSE is the same way that they would be buying their shares for the real estate investment trust. They have the benefits of the protection that comes in, the guarantee that comes in from listed entities, and yet at the same time they are investing in property which is guaranteeing them their returns, their dividends, which comes in the form of rentals payable quarterly at 80% of whatever they've been received. So this is a platform for enjoying both worlds, investing in stock and investing in real estate.
So, Dr. Juru, what then is the role of the association?
The association brings together all the players in the real estate investment trust sector. The ecosystem, as I've said, you have your regulators, you have your players, you have your investors. So at some point, there's one interest in how to make it work. So the association is there to make everything work, coordinating the activities. People have various interests, but also, the conflicting interests need to be balanced at some point. And that is the role of the association, to ensure that everything, the investors are happy, the regulators are happy, the public is happy.
Indeed. Dr. Mike Juru is my guest. We're discussing real estate investment trusts in Zimbabwe. We'll be back very shortly. This is the Focus Weekly. Do stay with us. Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. We continue the discussion on real estate investment trusts. Dr. Mike Juru, the chairman of the recently appointed association that is overseeing and making all of this work and bringing it all together, is my guest. Dr. Juru, perhaps let's begin by understanding, we are starting to hear of this concept or this idea quite recently in Zimbabwe. Why is it so new here? Is it developed in other markets?
Oh yes, it is quite new in Zimbabwe. Established in 2020, and it was the time of COVID, where nothing much was happening. But yes, we acknowledge it all started in 1960. The idea was mooted in actually the US, and it has spread globally. When even in Africa, South Africa has, Kenya they have, in Nigeria they do have real estate investment trust. It's a process and never an event, and where the markets have to mature into it, understanding property investment for the start, and then how do you then pull the funds together? That's a development further from your collective investment schemes. So you find those are the steps that we are building on. It's brick by brick. We are getting there, and it has never been easy. Right now we have one that is listed. We have 7 that are registered, and yes, they've been teething problems like anything that is new. And the association is now coming in. How do we get the challenges addressed, the teething problems? How can we address them? The association will be working on that and ensuring that we have more that will list. And also the general awareness. Since it's a new concept, people, they tend to be worried. But I can assure you that, yes, they've every reason to be confident about the real estate investment trust as a solution to the challenges that we have had in our country. The investing public, they may have had limitations. And how do I invest in property? Or even the properties where we could not develop properties because of funding challenges. So you find the real estate investment trust is coming in as a solution provider to our economy. And it's something that we should all embrace. And as we progress towards adding more, right now we have one that is focused on commercial real estate. But there is an opportunity for us to go into even residential estate development, even to go into mortgage REITs. You also find that the mortgages are quite limited in the market. People want to buy their houses. A REIT can also be offering the mortgages. So there are a whole lot of opportunities that are out there. And yes, we're taking baby steps a day at a time. And the association is there to make sure that we push through the policies, we push through for legislation that supports and ensures the investing public is protected. And also there are products onto the market that people will take up.
Indeed. Talking about product and diversity, you've mentioned that there's one that's listed, more on the way. From my reading, many of these seem to be, again, very commercial, retail, and sort of upmarket, for lack of a better term. But across the board, we can have properties listed, can't we?
Yes, the properties, for as long as they are income producing, which will guarantee the investors that they will get a return on their investment in the form of the dividends, the 80% that they're supposed to be disbursing. So it's not only limited to commercial, but we're saying income producing. I've mentioned that residential developments can also be REIT and industrial. And if you look at the mature markets, they actually have rail, they have infrastructure, the roads, the data, what is it, into telecoms. So you find right now, why this we are limited on commercial real estate, but as we progress, like I'm saying, the association will be pushing through the agenda to have more types, more variations of REIT coming onto the market.
Indeed. So it's almost limitless in terms of the options, in terms of those who have ideas, those who are sitting on money and want to invest, and those who want to develop projects.
It definitely is. For as long as they will then be guided by the rules, you're disbursing 80% of all your revenues, and also following the Collective Investment Schemes Act in the operations.
Is that, 80% is great. It sounds great. Is that sustainable in the market that we're in, the real estate market we're
in? I want to pose a question to you that, yes, if you are investing, you expect a return. So this is a new form of enforced investor shareholder activism, where, yes, people have been investing and there's been no enforcement criteria as to the payment of the dividends. But when you invest in REIT, you expect the money has to come. And its practicality, yes, it works. It has worked in other markets. Why wouldn't it work in Zimbabwe? That's the reason. That's the whole idea of investing anyway. You invest to get a return. So it is actually a perfection of the current setup in the market, which should then be encouraging more risks to be listed, because people are eager to invest and get a return.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Just on the mechanics of it again, as you said, stock exchange, I can go buy shares in a certain company. When I don't want them anymore, I sell them. If I'm locked in a building or infrastructure, how do I get in and out?
Yeah, that's in the initial part of the interview. I mentioned that you're enjoying both worlds. Yeah, like you're investing on the stock market and you're also investing on the property market. You do not have $1 million to be putting up in a shopping mall, but you have your $10, which you can still be investing in a shopping mall. So you're buying shares, which you can divest anytime. So it offers the liquidity in the market, where if you have to go full 100%, you've bought yourself a house, it's quite procedural for you to dispose of that house, because you have invested in real estate. But in this case, you have invested in stock with the benefits of the property market. So it's both worlds. You enjoy both worlds, the stock market and the property market. The stock market is you get out anytime that you want to get in. You get in anytime. There are no those hassles of you having to be paying the commissions, the stamp duties, and what have you. You're just buying your shares, you're selling your shares, and you're progressing. And the biggest advantage of real estate investment trust is that there is a tax benefit. The 20% that is deducted when you sell your shares, or when you get your dividend, it's not deducted. So that's the biggest advantage of investing in a real estate investment trust.
Indeed.
The tax benefit.
We'll come back and continue the discussion. Dr. Mike Juru, chairperson of the Real Estate Investment Trust Association of Zimbabwe, breaking it down to us and explaining how it all works. Stay tuned for that and a whole lot more. Welcome back. The Focus Weekly continues. Dr. Mike Juru, the environment, the support or the structures from a legislative and policy point of view, do you think enough has been done by the authorities to make real estate investment trusts work and flourish?
We should appreciate when you start off, you're starting off from zero. And we started off with the real estate investment trust being captured under the collective investment schemes. And yes, elsewhere, we have standalone real estate investment trust legislation and regulations. And as we progress, the association will be approaching the relevant authorities. But what should applaud the authorities was for them to set up in the first place. And we already have a REIT that is listed. So it's possible, it's doable, and it's now just about perfecting and learning from other economies, learning from other markets on how best we can fine-tune our offering. But it is possible, it is happening elsewhere, and we can do it as a nation.
One already listed, you said 7 are on the way. There are some teething problems that you are helping with as an association. When can we expect, without, I suppose, maybe to put you on the spot, but when can we expect more? Because I'm sure the excitement that has been generated by the one that is listed may have people saying, look, if we missed out on that one, I want to get into another one coming now.
Yes, in the next quarter, we should be getting 1 or 2 listings coming on board and even more being registered. It's an exciting product and with more understanding, with the association coming in to even give more awareness to the investing public, to even the other players who would want to be investing or raising funding for their huge commercial projects through REIT. There is an opportunity, and we are on it.
Indeed. Just looking a bit outside, but a bit more broader in terms of the real estate industry as it is, could you speak to us about the state of that?
For many years, we have heard that the real estate market is subdued, but I've always maintained the view that our property market is growing, and it will indeed grow. I base it on the fact that the bulk of our population, 54% of our population, is below the age of 24. They are all people who are going into the housing market, who will be demanding houses in one way or the other. And with instruments coming on board, is the Real Estate Investment Trust, the mortgage the mortgage REITs coming in, they will be wanting to be buying more. So we will have more activities. We are bound to have more activity happening in the housing sector. And the housing sector always supports the commercial because they will need a place to shop. And then the people will need a place to work. So it supports the industry. So you find the Real Estate Investment Trust will support the property sector to enable its growth, and which will ultimately benefit the nation as we develop and provide housing for all. And with REITs again developing further, where you can have infrastructure REITs, we can go into the power sector. And yes, there will be need for more power, and REITs will provide the funding mechanism, and which will actually grow the economy. So the property market, ideally, it needs the infrastructure. We've talked about power and also water. We will say that REITs can play a part on that front, and we have a market ready takers. I'm saying this: the young generation that are coming up onto the market will be looking for housing. So they will be taking. You have a market that will take up. You have a market that is going to be funding. You have a market that will be developing. So you find everything is contributing or dovetailing, getting focused on the Real Estate Investment Trust for everything to happen.
I think what is most exciting that I've picked up here is the issue that you've spoken about mortgage REITs, and perhaps that might require an entire program on its own to explain how it works once it's been developed, because one of the things that has been, a big challenge is the lack of affordable finance like mortgages to make the home ownership reality, that dream a reality for the many young people. So I hope it will come into to really address that, and some innovation will be seen around that.
Definitely, I'm confident. We've been getting positive vibes from the authorities, and they're there to support the initiative, and ultimately, it's the nation to benefit.
Mm-hmm. What do you say, though, to some people who might say there aren't enough people? Is there enough money out there that can be put into to make these REITs viable and to make some of these projects come up? Do we have the money as individuals?
Housing is a priority. So if housing is a priority, you always find, look, people are saying they're paying rentals. So instead of paying rent, you are now servicing your mortgage. So isn't there a market for that? We are covered. So money is there, and people always need housing, and they will always make a plan. We cannot do without housing. We cannot do without even the commercial centers. Because we need to eat, we need a place to buy, we need a place for entertainment. We are living beings, we have a life.
Mm-hmm. So the future is bright. Indeed. On that note, let's end the discussion. Thank you so much, Dr. Mike Juru, for coming through and for speaking to us on this very exciting topic.
Thank you very much. I look forward to the next chat on mortgage REITs.
Fantastic. And we'll certainly come back to do that. That is Dr. Mike Juru, Chairman of the Real Estate Investment Trust Association of Zimbabwe, appointed by the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. We're talking about how that whole industry works and breaking it down for you. Obviously, if you want to get more information, you can look out for them and look for their contacts. My name is Farai Mwakutuya. Be sure to join me again next time for another edition of the Focus Weekly. Bye-bye.